What's going on, everyone? It is MC Politics and welcome back to a brand new video. Before we get started, make sure you like the video down below, subscribe to the channel if you're new or enjoyed today's content, hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss out on any future videos, and if you have any questions, comments, thoughts, or concerns, leave them in the comment section below the video. Make sure to follow all of my social links in the description below. I'll be posting all of my videos on YouTube and on my alternative platforms Rumble, Bitchute, and Odysee. Rumble, I'll be making exclusive content in the future, so make sure to keep an eye out for that. Instagram is where I do most of my election content surrounding results, predictions, outcomes. I cover news related content, especially with President Trump, and I also talk a lot about both parties, ideologies, political issues, and candidates running for office. So if you're interested in all those things, make sure to follow all the social links down below for more. And for today's video, I'm going to continue off of my last video that I did between Hillary Clinton and John McCain in this regard, and what would happen with Hillary Clinton in a re-election bid against Mitt Romney if she were to have won the presidency in 2008. So this is an alternative history prediction for the 2012 election, and I do have an article that we could point to, by the way, as to how Hillary Clinton would do in regards to polling. Now, there's some things to keep in mind when citing this article by The Guardian, which The Guardian, it's more of like a left-leaning source, so you got to take it a little bit with a grain of salt, though. But Hillary Clinton, in this case, she would do better among white voters than Barack Obama did. However, she would struggle with minorities in particular in this case. And I don't think she would do overwhelming in the South like she did in 2008 in this case, because the recession would have recovered by then and Republicans would have gained a lot of their voters back that they lost in the 2008 election with John McCain. Again, John McCain, he was not a great candidate for rural voters. Mitt Romney wasn't either, but he didn't absolutely crap the bed with them either. So that is something to keep in mind. So when looking at this article, according to YouGov, the poll showed that Hillary Clinton was beating Romney among likely voters by 51 to 45%, whereas Obama was only leading them by 48 to 47, according to a poll. So that is something to take into consideration. And again, Hillary Clinton would be the president, so they cited that baggage would be the main reason that Barack Obama would have lost this support in this case compared to Hillary Clinton, but Hillary Clinton would be the president in this scenario. So yeah, give or take a few points in regards to that, depending on how issues would have went. Taking a look at this, Hillary Clinton would have performed strongly than Obama among every voting group, men and women in particular, Republicans and independents, those earning less than $40,000 a year and those earning more. Among white voters, this was President Obama, he trailed Mitt Romney by 21 points, and Clinton would have cut that down to only a 14-point advantage for Mitt Romney. So she would have basically have cut that almost in half entirely against Mitt Romney. So that is something to keep into consideration. Black voters in particular was Clinton's weakness in this regard. Mitt Romney, according to the YouGov poll, would have barely cracked 10% against Hillary Clinton, but she would have did relatively well in this election, even with 89% of black voters, just not an overwhelming victory in some of these city areas that Barack Obama had to offset any potential losses that he would have suffered. Key thing is that Hillary Clinton could reach white demographics farther than Obama. That is true, only partly offsetting Obama's appeal among black voters. Yep. And that revives the claim often during the 2008 primary contest between Obama and Clinton. And that is a fact in particular, is that Obama did better in mostly the Rust Belt states and in the southern states in particular. Clinton did better in a lot of white majority states and pretty much a lot of plain states. She did well with southern white voters. She did better with a lot of more conservative and independent type of voters in the Democratic primary. Or what are Republican voters now? They were Democrat supporters back then and were more they really loved Hillary Clinton a lot back then in 2008 and 2012. So I do think that is something to take into consideration. And this is a representative sample of 1,000 voters, which is a good sample. So that is pretty much the article here, and you could go over and take a look at the survey if you want to know more about it. But we're going to go ahead and move into this prediction here and sort of fill out the safe states and some of the likely states is what would be competitive and whatnot. So we're going to go ahead and fill this map out. Hillary Clinton would win the West Coast pretty easily. That's no surprise there. Hawaii would have gone safe. Illinois, I do think that all of these northeastern states would have gone to her safe. New York would have gone to her safe in this case. I still think Minnesota, with their appeal with white voters, I think it would have been safe in this case. And then Maine's first and at large probably would have went to her in the safe column in this case. And New Mexico probably would have been maybe under 10, possibly. I'll keep it safe. I'll keep it safe. I'm not going to complicate things right now. I do think that Clinton wouldn't do that bad with Latino voters. I think she would do better in a lot of like oil and gas industry. She probably would do better with some of the southern voters in the state. Overall, I think it would be relatively safe for her. So Mitt Romney would do better among the Mormon Belt voters in Idaho, Wyoming, Utah, Texas. He would have won. Oklahoma, Kansas, the Dakotas. He would have won safe. Mississippi, Alabama, South Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, and West Virginia would have gone to him relatively safe. He did phenomenal here compared to John McCain with these voters, so that would have gone to him pretty decently. Alaska would have been safe in this case. I think that Louisiana probably would have been likely, or close to likely. I'll keep it safe in this case. Nebraska's at large, 2 electoral votes. The 3rd district, the 1st district would have been all safe for Mitt Romney. And I believe that Montana would have been safe for Mitt Romney as well, as he did win it by double digits against Obama. I think he would do the same against Hillary Clinton as well. And so we got 136 electoral votes for Mitt Romney, 200 for Hillary Clinton. We're going to go ahead and fill out some of the likely states here. So Wisconsin, Michigan, both would have been relatively likely for Hillary Clinton in this case. I think she would have done a lot better in Pennsylvania in this case, so I think that one would be in the lean column as well. New Hampshire tends to vote against the incumbent party. I think she would have only won New Hampshire by around a likely margin in this case. Maine 2nd district, Democrats had a good approval among a lot of rural voters in Maine's 2nd district, but I think it only would have went to her by around a lean margin in this case against Mitt Romney. Maybe somewhat likely, lean the likely. I'll probably keep it around maybe 5 to 6 points in that district. So we're gonna keep it in the likely column for Hillary Clinton. I believe she would have won Colorado. Not overwhelmingly. We'll talk about that one in a minute. And I believe that's all those likely states for Hillary Clinton. Now moving into some likely Romney states. Indiana, it would have voted for Hillary Clinton in 2008 with Evan Bayh as her running mate. Evan Bayh would still be her VP in this case. It probably would drop Indiana to about an under 10-point victory, but overall, again, it was a fluke because of the recession for Democrats to really win Indiana in the 2008 election. So I do think Mitt Romney would recover the losses there from John McCain in a state like Indiana, so he would win that in the likely column. Arkansas, because of Hillary Clinton's home factor appeal, I think that would have been in the likely column in this case, just because there still is a lot of Democrats in the state. There is relatively a lot of registered Democrats. Local Democrats are still elected down ballot somewhat here, but it was getting to be more of like a Republican voting group at this point in time. I think with the home state factor would have been likely maybe a little bit under safe, but overall Romney would still win it relatively comfortably. Arizona would have been likely because of Maricopa and doing well in like the cities and suburbs there. Romney would have won it by around 6 to 8 points like he did in 2012. Georgia would be likely in this case. I do think Romney would have recovered his margins in this case off of John McCain in some of the rural areas. Although the Atlanta suburbs would have moved a little bit left from the 2008 cycle as well, so that is something to keep into consideration there, as the trends would move further over into the Democratic column. So I do think that Mitt Romney would relatively do well with Georgia voters, typically in like the northern part, the Atlanta suburbs, and I think Hillary Clinton wouldn't do that bad along southern Georgia, but she would do all right, but like not like super overwhelmingly good. So likely margin for Mitt Romney in that regard. Nebraska second would be likely as well because Democrats had a good stranglehold on Omaha, which is the big city of Nebraska in the state. So I do think Romney would have won Nebraska second by around 7 to 9 points in that regard. Now moving into some other states, you know what? I think I'm going to put this one in the likely column. I think she probably would have won it by around 5 or 6 points in Colorado. I don't think she would do as well as she did in 2008. I think she would lose a little bit of support in a place like Colorado, but definitely would do better than Obama in a state like Colorado as well. And then moving into lean states, Virginia still would have been relatively competitive in this regard. I still would give it a lean margin for Hillary Clinton. I think she would have won it by her 2016 margin, around a 4 to 5 point victory for Hillary Clinton. I don't think she would do as well in the suburbs and some like the city areas like Mitt Romney did, but he wouldn't have the appeal in like the rural areas to really like get the state fully into his column. So that would be something that would lackluster for him in a state like Virginia, but overall would be somewhat competitive. Moving into some states like Iowa, this one's on the border between lean and likely. I'm going to keep it likely, honestly. I think Hillary Clinton would do better with a lot of farmers in that state in particular, especially along like this eastern portion of Iowa. She definitely would dominate a lot of these rural areas throughout the state, so this one would be in the likely column for her. Romney would probably win North Carolina. I think he probably would have won it very narrowly still, but it would have been close either way. I think he would just do a tad bit better than McCain in the state of North Carolina, but not by a super whole lot. But overall, I think Mitt Romney would win a state like North Carolina. Missouri, I do think that one would be close as well. I think that one would go to Mitt Romney only by a lean margin as well, just because I think Hillary Clinton would still have a good grip on white voters in the state, but she wouldn't have enough to be able to win the state into her column. Nevada, I do think that Hillary Clinton probably would have done pretty good with Latino voters in the Clark County area. She would have done all right in like Washoe County. I think she probably would have won Nevada by around like lean to likely. I'm going to keep that one in the lean column just for right now. Ohio. I think this one would honestly still go to Hillary Clinton by around a 2 to 3 point victory. She would overperform Obama in a place like Ohio, in my opinion. I think she would still do. She wouldn't do that well in like the coal areas throughout the state, but she definitely would do well along the northeastern portion. She definitely would do better in like the cities of Columbus, Hamilton, and Cincinnati this time around against Mitt Romney. So I do think this one would still be in the Democratic column for her. She'd probably do all right in like the coal county areas or like the coal region, but not to the point she would flip any counties or anything like that. Relatively, it would be around a lean margin for her. And then the state of Florida, this is the last one that we got to talk about, and this is the bellwether state. Now, I think if it weren't for Mitt Romney, I think Republicans would flip a state like Florida. They definitely do better in like places like Jacksonville, Seminole, Pinellas. They definitely do better in. The Panhandle's a lot more Republican. Democrats would still have a lot of appeal in like the South Florida region, which would keep it competitive. Overall, I think Hillary Clinton would just barely win the state of Florida in this case. I think she would win it by around a point or so. It's always close. I probably would tilt it into their column in this case scenario. And that is my final prediction. Hillary Clinton wins 332 electoral votes to Romney's 206, and this is the exact same prediction that Obama won the 2012 election by against Mitt Romney in the 2012 election. You could make a case Missouri could probably go to Hillary Clinton, maybe, or like even a state like North Carolina could probably go to her in this regard because of white voters in particular. But again, she probably wouldn't be polling as well with them heading into the election at this point in time. So I'm going to go ahead and assume that Mitt Romney probably narrowly holds on to the state. Romney could even win a place like Florida in this case. But again, I still think with Hillary Clinton with Latino voters, she probably would do better still in South Florida, just enough to be able to win the state and to recount by around a point or so. Definitely would do better than Obama from 2012. So that is my prediction for today's video. Again, if you would like to see a Senate map done on this of what it'd be like if Hillary Clinton was running for re-election as president, what would the Senate races look like? Leave that in the comment section down below, and I will do a video for you guys on that. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Like the video down below, subscribe to the channel if you're new or enjoyed today's content, hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss out on any future content. Questions, comments, concerns, or thoughts can go in the comment section below the video. And I was about to see the discussion page, but there isn't one like that on YouTube anymore. I apologize for that. But questions, comments, concerns, or thoughts can go in the comment section below the video. That's what I meant to say. Share this with your family and friends. Follow all the social links in the description down below. And I will see you all in the next video. Take care, everyone, and have a great day.